Oh, hey, I'm Joe Mack. Welcome back to the channel. TBR, to be read. I'm getting to the end of my list, so I wanted to go over what I'm looking to read in the coming weeks, and with my lack of time, months. I only really have one fantasy book coming up, and I'm kind of sad about that. I've been reading mostly sci-fi, and I'm pretty close to needing a break from science to get back into magic, just to cool off for a little bit. So if you have any recommendations for me, please drop it in the comments below so I can get something to check out after I finish the 4 books over here. Fury of the Gods is the only thing that I have lined up in the fantasy spectrum. It's also probably going to be the last thing that I read. I'm just going to stick to going down the sci-fi train for the time being. So let's jump in. So first on the list we have Neon Ghosts by Daniel B. Greene. It is a sci-fi story that he wrote some time ago. I participated in the Kickstarter that they ran. I've had it since it's been shipped to my house. I just haven't been around to reading it. So I'm really looking forward to checking this out and seeing if he's as good of a writer as he is a booktuber. So what is Neon Ghosts about? Well, let's learn together. I'm just going to read from the back, make it simple. I'm not going to try and paraphrase nothing and get it wrong.
Bruised, stoned, and still adjusting to her latest wear implants, apprentice enforcer Taya Mintz plunges into the darkest depths of megastructure 703, challenging everything she thought she knew about life within the walls she has never stepped beyond. With only one assignment left to earn her full license, Taya finally stands a chance to rebuild a life wounded by grief. But soon, she discovers the kidnapping she's investigating is just a piece of the puzzle. One that leads to grisly death and the greedy heart of power within the structure. When evidence points to a supernatural threat as the culprit, Taya finds herself needing to rely on cold-blooded allies just to survive the hell that is 703. In order to save an innocent life in a world polluted by zealots, Taya will have to learn just how much it costs to face the monsters that occupy humanity's artificial Eden.
So it sounds like it's a sci-fi with a little bit of the supernatural, maybe some ghosts or something. We're probably going to see some play on the word demon or daemon, which has been pretty frequent in modern sci-fi coming up, especially hearing something about supernatural. So that's my guess. Maybe we'll make a callback in a future video when I take a look back after I read this book and see if I was right or wrong. But I'm looking to finally get into this. It looks like the tagline is, "What would you do to keep your dreams ad-free?" Brain ad blockers don't sound fun. So, yeah, this is going to be probably second. We're going to talk about it first, but probably the second thing I'm looking to read. I want something a little bit shorter first, so let's take a look at that one. The second book that I have on my TBR that I'm going to be tackling here is Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. Now, I was a huge fan of Christopher's Aragon series, one of the book series I read as a wee lad. And then I did check out To Sleep in a Sea of Stars when that came out, and that was pretty cool. It was pretty interesting. It's nice to see Christopher, Mr. Paolini, I'm not on a first name basis, explore something outside the fantasy genre. So I'm excited to see what this is. It's much smaller than the first one. You can see the first one right up there. It looks, just from spine size, maybe like half the size. I don't know if this is a sequel, a prequel, or if it's just something that takes place kind of in the same, what he calls the fractal verse. Let's see what we got here.
In the silence of space, a beacon calls. July 25th, 2234, the crew of the Atamura discovers the anomaly. On the seemingly uninhabited planet Talos 7, a circular pit 50 kilometers wide. It's curved not of nature, but design. Now, a small team must land and journey on foot across the surface to learn who built the hole and why, but they all carry the burdens of lives carved out on disparate colonies in the cruel cold of space. For some, the mission is the dream of a lifetime. For others, a risk not worth taking. And for one, it is a desperate attempt to find meaning in an uncaring universe. Each step they take toward the mysterious abyss is more punishing than the last, and the ghosts of their past follow.
One thing that I will say, at minimum, about this series, and I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but these are out of control. The foiling that he has going on, let me get the other one just so you can see them back to back. Can you see this good? The foiling on these, they're so shiny. I feel like it doesn't do it justice. In person, they are gorgeous. So I just hope that the story lives up to how incredible the cover art is. Probably going to tackle this first because it's smaller, just to feel good about myself. Accomplish that easier. We are looking at 257 pages. So pretty quick. That's going to be a nice read. So, yeah, let's check out the next one. Disquiet Gods, Book 6 in the Sun Eater series is probably the book that I'm most excited to read. Sun Eater has exploded, you know, in the last little bit, ever since Daniel and Mike's Book Reviews got a hold of it and finally told everybody how amazing it is. So, you know, many props to Christopher Ruocchio for finally getting what he deserves. I've kind of been holding off on reading this just because Shadows Upon Time does come out in November this year of our Lord 2025. So I'm worried about reading it too soon. Not that I'll forget, but that I will need book 7. I need it! I want to read this now, to be honest. I want to stop recording this and just read it, but Disquiet Gods. I didn't show the cover like I did the other ones. I'm sorry. Disquiet Gods by Christopher Ruocchio. I will be picking up a second copy. It's supposed to be reprinted by his previous publisher, which is Daw, who reacquired him after dropping him like fools. So this is the Bane edition. And to my dismay, you know, and this happens a lot, just look at the sin that is the Expanse series, where they switch the author's name and the title of the books. But this is just a little bit taller than the rest of the other hardbacks that I have. So I'll donate this to a library when I get a new one, and then they'll at least match for the hardcovers that I do have. But I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited to see where Hadrian's story is going after Ashes of Man. I love this series. If you haven't read it, check it out. I know everyone's reading it. This is one thing I wouldn't be a contrarian about. I would just get on the hype train for it because it's definitely worth it. Last but not least, I shouldn't talk behind the book. Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is the final book in the Bloodsworn trilogy. It is a Norse mythology-based tale. It is an absolutely awesome read. It's been a while since I read the previous two, so I'm definitely going to have to look up some sort of YouTube recap video online so that I can remember exactly what's going on. I think it's going to be a little tougher to get back into this than some of the sci-fi things just based on the naming conventions. Since it's grounded in Norse mythology, names are Varg and Elvar, Bjor, and stuff. So those names I'm saying them because I'm reading them off the back, but they're not really ringing any bells for me. So I think this one's going to be a little tougher to get back to. But as far as jumping back into the fantasy realm, besides listening to the audiobooks for Joe Abercrombie's The First Law trilogy, very much looking forward to getting back to fantasy at the end of all of this. Whether I read this before or after Disquiet Gods, I'm not sure. But these are the 4 books that I'm really looking forward to reading and getting off my TBR. And then it's back to the bookstores for me, picking up some new stuff. So if you have any recommendations, if you have any good fantasy recommendations for me, get in those comments. I could really use some help with some new books to read. I've been out of the game for a little while. But yeah, if there's anything you think that I would enjoy or that I should read, whether it's sci-fi or fantasy, I would love to hear about it. I would love to tackle that. All right, guys. Love you. Bye. We got to get through all the appendices. We'll edit this out in post.